Now to this. Elon Musk says he'll be scaling back from DOGE next month to focus more on Tesla as the company's sales plummet.
Lucas Tomlinson is live in Washington with all the details. Good morning, Lucas.
Well, good early morning, Carly and Todd. That's right. Elon Musk said in their earnings call he needs to shift more of his attention back to his electric vehicle company, Tesla, beginning next month. But he's not giving up on his efforts to reduce waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government.
I'll continue to spend, a day or two per week on government matters for as long as the president would like me to do so, and as long as it is useful. But starting next month, I'll be allocating far more of my time to Tesla. And now that the major work of establishing the Department of Government Efficiency is done.
Tesla reported a drop in sales and revenue for the first 3 months of the year, likely due to attacks like this, dealerships getting firebombed, cars keyed, and concerns over tariffs. Tesla's net income plunged 71% in the first quarter of this year. Total revenue from car sales dipped 20%. Musk company said in a statement, quote, "Uncertainty in the automotive and energy markets continues to increase. This dynamic, along with changing political sentiment, could have a meaningful impact on demand for our products in the near term." Now, Musk has been against many of Trump's tariffs that he put in place. Trump's senior advisor for trade, Peter Navarro, said Musk just doesn't understand. Musk called him a moron. Yesterday, a district attorney in Minnesota declined to charge a state employee for Governor Tim Walz for causing $20,000 in damages for vandalizing half a dozen Teslas. A Minneapolis police chief said at the time that the vandalism should be the equivalent of a felony, guys.
You're cool.
Yeah.
And you, I'm out.
This ship sails through the night. It glows in a moonlit fog. On deck, you'll find a camel, the rarest kind of dog. It has tusks like a walrus. It has humps like a whale. With fur like a lion. It has teeth like a snail. What is this I see? The sound of a camel is a magical sound to me. The sound of a camel. They're sailing through the fleet, bombard the corporate sea, blanking through splinting trees, emerging from the debris. What is this I see? The sound of a camel is a magical sound to me. The sound of a camel.
It's cinematic. It's like I took my kids to their first movie experience. We went and saw King of Kings, and what Jerry makes for our camel memes for Hump Day is as beautiful as Hollywood movie studios. So well done, Jerry. Today is Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. It's officially Hump Day. Elon Musk makes an announcement about his work, by the way, and it has had major effects on the stock market. Stock market also absolutely ripping this morning as President Trump is getting exactly what he wants. Klaus Schwab not getting what he wants, so that makes for a good day for us. World Economic Forum launches criminal probe into founder Klaus Schwab over whistleblower allegations. The iron law of wokeness is to accuse your enemies of everything that you are currently doing. Turns out that Klaus Schwab was a racist degenerate who treated minorities and women totally differently and defrauded the organization that he ran, the World Economic Forum, as he's preaching about accountable capitalism. Isn't that crazy? It always happens. Never trust a male feminist. Can we make that? Can we put that on a shirt? Never trust a male feminist. Hey, never trust a male feminist. Male feminist, Jeffrey Epstein. Male feminist, Bill Clinton. Male feminist, Harvey Weinstein. Male feminist, Harry Sisson. Male feminist, Rachel Ziegler. I don't know. The point is that you don't trust these people. They're all frauds. All of them are all frauds. Shannon Sharp's going through it right now. Same thing. Okay, you never trust these guys. Shannon Sharp endorsing Kamala Harris. You remember that podcast? Kamala Harris. You ain't invited to the cookout. Trump's not going to invite you to dinner. You're not part of the club. Can we get that clip? You get me that clip? All right, sorry. I've got a lot of work to do here. Why? Because Julie Kelly is going to be breaking news on the program today. Julie Kelly has uncovered something that is very big that is happening right now inside of the court system against President Trump with these immigration cases. Oh my, it sounds like some illegality is happening. We'll try and crack that wide open on the program, along with somebody who's trying to crack the Golden State wide open. Steve Hilton, who's running for governor of California, will be joining the program live today, along with Avita Duffy, who's the daughter of the Secretary of Transportation. We look forward to asking her about whether Katy Perry is an astronaut. Okay, my name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Speaking of the Golden State, make sure that your future is gold. My friends at Advantage Gold can help you ensure a golden future for yourself. You may have noticed while there was very rocky ground in the stock market and the crypto market over the last couple of weeks. It's just how it happens when you exercise the demons in your economy. The demons, of course, brought about by 20 years of globalism, 30 years of globalism and selling out America. That gold skyrocketed. Some are projecting gold to be at $4,000 an ounce. My goodness gracious. Okay. Patriots, the economy is on shaky ground. It is time for you to protect yourself. It's simple. The Gold and Silver Advantage Gold Summit will make sure that you lock in your future. It's on April 30th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's an exclusive event where you learn how to build strategic wealth. They're giving away $1,000 in free silver, and each person can claim it plus a $300 in bonuses, $100,000 total in free silver. It's crazy. But you must attend the live event to learn how. Don't wait until it's too late. Text Benny to 85545 right now and lock in your spot. That's Benny to 85545. Take control of your financial future before it's too late. Benny to 85545, and I'll see you there. Data and message rates apply. Performance may vary. Always consult your financial and tax professional. Okay. Do we have it? Okay, this is we have to do it. We have to do it. This is Kamala Harris on Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp's being sued for $15 million by some 19-year-old OnlyFans brat. Shannon Sharp deserves every bit of this. I have to warn you, the male feminists. First off, the male feminists, how do male feminists dress? Like, why do they dress like this? Look at, is it like airbrushed on? Is he an Oompa Loompa? Is this some type of like Chinese ventriloquist like uniform? I don't get it. Like, what kind of a grown man dresses like that? He's pushing 60. Right? And he's hooking up with OnlyFans girls who are 19. And this is not what any of the stories. We have a lot of like very important stuff to talk about. But since we have to go off on the male feminists and the fraudulence of these people, AOC flies in private jets. Shannon Sharp preaches about being a male feminist with Kamala Harris on his program, and it turns out that he is a complete degenerate scumbag. He deserves every bit of this $50 million lawsuit. Act your age, dude. Again, you're on the wrong side of 50. You're pushing 60 years old. Grow up. There's also something like very strange about like left-wing men. They're like infantile. They're like infantile little simps. And they like remain like that their entire lives. They don't never grow up. They never wife up. They never build anything. They just like live inside of complete self-gratification degeneracy, leaving no legacy and destroying whatever they have. And a reminder that Shannon Sharp, please check me on this, ALX, is a Disney employee right now. Disney owns ESPN. ESPN has a contract with Shannon Sharp. He is a Disney employee. Now, what was released yesterday, we don't want to play it here, is Shannon Sharp says there's going to be a bunch of tapes that get released. So we'll get the Shannon Sharp tapes before we get the Epstein tapes. Angry about that. Whatever. We'll get the Shannon Sharp tapes. Nobody wants them. Before the Epstein tapes, a little angry about that. But also, there was like recordings yesterday of Shannon Sharp like threatening violence against this chick, threatening like strangulation, choking. It's bad news, okay? Bad news. He's clearly a monster. He's clearly a monster. But here he is with Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris saying, no, it's Trump who we should be worried about. Let's go.
So, part of what we have to help people understand is don't think you're in Donald Trump's club. You're not.
Right.
He's not going to be thinking about you. You think he's having you over for dinner?
Just, you think he's not in your club. He's not having you over to the cookout. Shannon Sharp is, well, yeah, I mean, like, if this is what you're talking about, like, yeah, I'd be happy to not be invited to this. whatever the hell this is, it's best described to me. I've seen this. This is a Kamala Harris party. I've seen this. You know what this is. You know what's happening here. This is after soccer practice, PTA mom, 3 margaritas in to the 2-for-1 margaritas at Applebee's. She's eaten half a triple dipper, right? And she's about to get started on the Southwest egg rolls. That's what this is. This is Kamala Harris. This is any mom in your neighborhood, any mom in your neighborhood. The kids are at soccer practice. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. 2-for-1 margs, Applebee's. Let's go. Toyota. It's during and it's Amazon Prime week. Okay, that's what that is. That is not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about, of course, saving our country from these repulsive degenerates. And we're going to begin by a breaking news story that was teased out last night by a friend of ours, Bill Malusian, somebody who we really respect, and he's done just excellent reporting on the border. He's as good as they get. Talking about the evils and horrors of what Kamala Harris wrought upon this nation. Let's just put a punctuation mark on it with this story. Illegal immigrant convicted of killing teens in high-speed crash, set to be released early. It's disgusting. I hope he's going to stay in prison, one of the victim parents said. Well, he won't. He's getting out. The families of victims of an Orange County, California high-speed crash are sending letters to the state to keep an illegal immigrant convicted felon behind bars as he's expected to be released from prison early, over 6 years before his 10-year sentence is up. Why does he even have a 10-year sentence? Why isn't he in prison for life? He murdered people. Oscar Antiguo, 43, was driving drunk, high, and speeding nearly 100 miles an hour on the freeway in 2021 when he crashed into a car being driven by a young couple, 19-year-olds, killing both of them as they burned alive. In 2022, he was convicted of 2 counts of gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated. Now, you'll be shocked to learn that Oscar had been deported twice and had come right back into the country in order to murder. It's disgusting. You have 2 young, unbelievable future, productive American citizens killed for nothing. The illegal immigrant, who's already been deported twice, is going to be released again for what? Even if he's deported, he'll come back, says the father of these 2 beautiful teens. He has not changed Aya's room sensor death. Oh, it's heartbreaking. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement has put a detainer on his arrest following the likely release of the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. So he's only 3 years in and he's getting released. You can just go, so this is the kind of, so we call this criminal alien privilege. If you are a criminal alien, you should be getting the death sentence. I don't know what happened to this country. This should be the firing squad, right? The electric chair, whatever's in fashion, but you just shouldn't be around anymore. You slaughtered 2 Americans, eye for an eye, we'll let God sort it out situation. That's how you prevent people from doing this. You take fringe cases like this, and then you prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. So the next time a criminal alien says, oh, I'm going to get blackout hammered on a bunch of Four Locos, I'm going to rip a bunch of, I'm do a bunch of drugs, and then I'm going to go kill some Americans. That they think twice about it. They know that they're signing their own death sentence by doing that because you take care of him. But no, now he's being rewarded. It's killer Carmelo Anthony. It's the same situation. You realize that when you do things like this, when you give goodies to people for killing like a white student at a track meet, when you get a bunch, like a huge GoFundMe that buys you a new mansion and gets you a new car and gets you a new set of sneakers, a new suit. Your daddy can now drive an Escalade around into his mansion neighborhood. You get to just sit there and like play video games and eat pizza, waiting for your DEI judge to let you off. That you're going to make more people commit murder. It's called a deterrence for a reason. It's not what the show is about. We've got a bunch of stuff to talk about, but this is a breaking news story right now. It's being responded to by Pam Bondi. Bondi's up saying that ICE is going to immediately snag this guy and prosecute to the full extent of the law. Absolutely unconscionable, she says. What about justice for these teens? What about the rights for their parents? The Justice Department will work with ICE to make sure that this illegal alien receives full punishment for his crimes. Now, this is something that I've been wanting to talk with someone about, and luckily we have Julie Kelly up in just a couple minutes here. I want to talk to Julie Kelly about this because there is a way. So a good example is George Floyd. A good example is Derek Chauvin. Now, I'm not going to we're not going to go there today. Everybody knows full well what I think about that. Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd. Fentanyl killed George Floyd. If you want to see George Floyd killer, you can fly over to China, to the fentanyl factories, and you can fly to Mexico to the cartels. Those were the killers of George Floyd, not the cops in Minnesota. That is a matter of empirical fact that you can find in the autopsy report. The point is that they were able to use federal charges to weaponize, to make a point. All right, so they came in over the state charges in Minnesota, and the feds actually put away Derek Chauvin. Now, again, I think that's all wrong, and I think it's totally incorrect. I think it's too politically charged for Trump to pardon. There was like this thing where it's like, pardon Derek Chauvin. I think that this is not the right time to have that conversation, sadly, but it is wrong. The point is that I just think it is politically, it's going to be, that would be a bad decision right now. And there's a ton of very smart people that believe that as well. The point is the feds can come in over the top and can charge these people because they have jurisdiction, meaning they're in charge of America. So the feds can zoom in on any crime and can make it extra painful. They did this with January 6th. And so why ain't Pam Bondi doing that? We need that to happen. We should have that here, where whatever the woke ass California judicial system run by these degenerate pederast Satanists, they're going to release this guy. Apparently, he's being released because he had good behavior in prison. So he slaughters these kids and then he gets rewarded for it. He's a criminal alien. He should get the death sentence. It should be public. This should be a warning sign, right? This is how you the only way to prevent this kind of violence is to have a deterrent that is more horrible than what this degenerate criminal alien scumbag did. The deterrence should be far more awful. And everyone's like, whoa, not only should I not like drunk drive, I should self-deport, in fact, right now, because this isn't going to be good for me. He's going to get rewarded. So it is I am begging, as somebody who, you are at threat of criminal alien violence. I am at threat of criminal alien violence. This happened, Killer Klein? Not too far. Like just up the road, this happened from our studio where there was a young mom, drunk driving, criminal alien comes in here, smashes in and just destroys her life, kills her kid. Shouldn't have been here. But more importantly, you take these people, show his face. They're already disconnected from their family, their religion, where they belong, from their home. They don't speak the language. They're like loners, right? They come up here to be loners. Work odd jobs, work under the table. They have no family. They have no soul, right? There's nothing like connecting them and grounding them like you would when you go home, right? With your parents or your aunts and uncles, like people keeping your church, people keeping you grounded from doing this. So they spiral. You spiral. You're a literal foreign alien. You're literally illegal. And so you spiral, and that's why you see so many cases like this. It's actually cruel to allow these loners to leave whatever place they come from, Guatemala or whatever, where they would have some type of familial structure, some type of church structure, and to come here and then just to become like black hole degenerates and then kill us. That's why you see so many cases like this. And now they're going to reward them. It's sick. You can see it in the eyes. It's a sickness. So here's how you prevent it. And they did this with Biden. They did this in the Biden and Obama Justice Departments. They tried to charge the police officer in Ferguson, right? They tried to charge, the Trayvon Martin thing. The feds come in and make it a federal case. They make it a federal case, put that man's face up on screen. You make this man the image of what happens when you come here and you kill an American as an illegal. You put this man in Guantanamo Bay, you put him in shackles, put him in front of the entire world, you charge him within an inch of his life, give him 1,000 years in prison, then immediately off to some terrorism detention camp, right? That's what needs to happen. Then disappeared. Okay, and then make it a big deal that this is what happened. So the feds need, you must do this. We're going to talk to Julia. You must come over the top and crush this person. It's the only way. And then every other situation like this, do the same thing. Same thing with Carmelo Anthony. It's a clear hate crime. I want to get somebody from the Civil Rights Division at the DOJ on the show. I know Leo Terrell's been on the show, Harmeet Dillon, she's in charge. I want to get him on the show, and I want to talk about Carmelo Anthony. I don't know why the administration isn't talking about this more. Why? We'll be happy to talk about it and talk about all the data and statistics about crime in this country. That's the only way we're going to solve it. It's the only way your kids will be safe or my kids will be safe. Like, have an open and honest conversation about broken parts of society that are habituated to crime, a culture of crime and violence that gets rewarded anyway. Sorry, it's like the dad in me coming out. But it is what it is. This is a real show. This is real talk. These are things that I really think about with my American children. I don't want them to be stabbed or burned to death. How do you prevent that? Maximum, horrific, medieval penalties for the people that do that. That's a great deterrent. The administration is doing that in part. They're doing some major deterrent, like the sending criminal aliens to the terrorism detention centers, to Guantanamo Bay. These are great deterrents. A lot of criminal aliens are self-deporting. We see that story all the time, that there'll be like left-wing lawyers that'll be sitting here trying to argue like these stupid immigration cases that are all fake, and suddenly their client will disappear, and they'll get like a text message from a foreign number. I just self-deported. It wasn't worth it. That's happening. There are multiple stories like that from around the country that's happening in mass. That's a good start. The next thing is you need to punish horribly these criminals. I'm talking medieval stuff here. So Pam Bondi with the Justice Department. She says, I will work with ICE to make sure this illegal alien receives full punishment for his crimes. Good. Let's see the result. I want to see the trial. We'll take it live. Okay? We'll interview the family. Let's make this. This is how you do it. You take this guy, and click on the image here. You take this guy, and here are the people that he cut down. Here are the Americans that are here legally. Oh, it's just rips your soul out. A beautiful couple. I believe were they a couple? They were a couple. Yeah, were they dating? Yeah. Beautiful couple. Burned him alive. This guy burned him alive, and now he's going to get rewarded by California. Sick. It's demonic, and that's how you fight evil. This is how you fight evil. All right. You don't fight evil with like nice words or with idle threats. You fight evil with violence, right? Like, what I mean by that is there must be major painful deterrents, right? Legal deterrents to this. Okay, I belabored this point enough. I'm angry about it. I'm upset about this. This is the big breaking news story from this morning. Also, big breaking news story from this morning. Elon Musk did a Tesla shareholder call last night where he said, stepping back. He didn't say DOGE is done. He said he's put in place a team. Now, ALX, I'm going to be asking for, and I needed to do this before the show, but I'm going to be asking for Bret Baier interviewing the DOGE team. It's the first time the DOGE team has really been up and out in front of the public. And it was an awesome bit that Bret Baier deserves a huge amount of credit for doing. It's an amazing clip. And I want to play like a couple of clips from it. But let's begin by stating, what is an Elon Musk? Okay? What is Elon Musk? Well, he's one of the world's greatest geniuses. He is in charge of trillions of value in all of his companies, many trillions of value. He did something that is virtually impossible, which was to create a successful American car company in the last 100 years. American car companies have faltered through a number of major problems, structurally and institutionally in this country, beginning with being founded in a blue state, unions that can leverage far too heavily against the actual companies themselves, crappy products, lack of innovation, big issues for American car companies, and then, of course, outsourcing being the final nail in the coffin. Elon Musk built a totally American company at Tesla, and it's the most valuable company on Earth. Elon Musk is the CEO of, I believe, 7 different companies that could have multi-billion or trillion-dollar valuations, and so he's a very busy guy. Now, he decided to go all in with Trump. Many say that his embrace of Trump after Butler is just one of those moments that changed America forever, and I would agree with that. It was a paradigm shift. You could see it just rings like a bell. It was this when Elon Musk was jumping and doing his jump, and his shirt goes up and you could see his belly. Like we were there. We were in the audience. It was electric. It was electric. Me and ALX are sitting there like, dude, this is gonna change everything forever. Yeah, there it is. The famous rocket ship to the sky, right? Elon Musk. You remember this. Point is that what is Elon Musk? Is Elon Musk a cabinet secretary? Is he somebody who's Senate confirmed? No. He's something called a special government employee, all right? And this is, everyone's going to say, oh, Elon Musk was fired or success. We were able to, cut Elon Musk out. Ethics rules for special government employees. A special government employee can only serve 130 days out of the year because they are technically inside and outside of the government, right? So here it is right here on the second line. If you are a special government employee, your SGE status, this is based on a good faith estimate, that you will not work for more than 130 days. Let's see here. Shall we check? How many days has it been since Elon Musk took office at DOGE? It's been 93 days. And so in April, at the end of April, in fact, at the end of May, it is when you will get a full 130 days Elon Musk working as a special government employee. This may seem very boring to you. I'm trying to, I hate using this word, pre-bunk what the libs are going to say. Because libs are going to say, we were able to get Elon Musk. We were able to scalp Elon Musk. The news here that Elon Musk saying he's stepping away from DOGE. Let's read with that understanding of what Elon Musk was. Because they are so desperate, as we covered on the show yesterday with Pete Hegseth, they are so desperate to scalp somebody inside of the Trump orbit. They need a firing. They need a skull, okay, on their wall. They must have Pete Hegseth taxidermied on the wall. They need that. They're desperate for it. They have to have something. Trump's sticking with his people. And his people love the organization of Trump team as it is. I've never seen these cabinet secretaries work so well together. They actually like each other. It is a team of rivals. It's also a team of people that are working in a very sophisticated capacity together and getting a ton done. And so anyway, the point is that I don't want to see the fracturing, the scalping, and the splitting of the MAGA movement. And you feel it, don't you? Don't you feel it? Don't you feel like there is this absolute drive to break the MAGA movement into pieces, to shatter the MAGA movement as best they can? Boy, are we ever the victims of a psyop every 2 hours at this show, where someone is texting, someone's needling or worming in here to try and split us up, to try and create drama with us and other creators, or us in the White House, or us or other people. They're trying to fracture and break up the MAGA base. They're desperate to do it. We won't be part of it. We'll do our very best and we'll muscle through to try and keep things together. So that is why it's so important to not give them some type of W on Elon. Oh, we got him. We were able to destroy Elon. No, we're not going to let him do it. All right. That's why we're taking our time with this one. Here we go. Elon Musk tells Tesla shareholders that he's going to cut back on DOGE work next month. Department of Government Efficiency Chief Elon Musk told Tesla shareholders on Tuesday that he's planning to dramatically cut back his work for the Trump administration next month. Starting next month, I will be allocating far more time to Tesla, the electric car company, as CEO said on a Tesla earnings call just yesterday evening. Musk noted that the major work of establishing DOGE has been completed and that his time allocation to President Trump's government cost-cutting initiative will drop significantly. The billionaire tycoon, who's 53 years old, indicated that he's interested in continuing to spend a day or two a week in government matters, as long as it is useful to President Trump. President Trump, for his part, said, I want Elon to stay here as long as humanly possible. We're going to play you that clip in just a moment. Musk was already widely expected to leave his post as an unofficial head of DOGE in the NMA, with special government employee status expiring. Per federal regulations, SGEs can only work for the government for 130 consecutive days, pegging May 30th as the Tesla, SpaceX, Starlink CEO last day as DOGE chief. Earlier this month, Trump told reporters that he wants Musk to be part of the administration as long as possible, but acknowledged that the world's richest man may want to spend more time with his major business endeavors. Tesla did, of course, have a slump in sales because Tesla vehicles look like this. I mean, how do you, please scroll down, just one more image. There you go. Yeah. How do you fight against this terrorism? Well, let's give a gold star to the DOJ. On this one, they have charged 7 people now with domestic terrorism. That'll face federal minimums of 20-year prison sentences. So everybody who has burned a Tesla or attacked a Tesla is getting federal terrorism charges. And you're noticing something remarkable. The attacks on Teslas are diminishing quite severely. It's amazing what happens when you use the big stick. We're in no rush, but there will be a point in which Elon's going to have to leave, Trump said on April 3rd, noting that Musk is a number of companies to run. The president didn't put an exact date on Musk would be departing. Trump insisted that Musk is welcome to stay as long as he likes. Tesla reported a 71% drop in net income in the quarter during an earnings call. It has been targeted by vandals and arsonists nationwide. I mean, obviously, let's just say what it is. To the average consumer, they're going to see what they're doing to the Teslas, and they're going to say, do I want that? That's the strategy here. This is why you have to come in over the top of the terrorism charges. The strategy here is to make the brand toxic. So Elon Musk, either clip A or clip B. I just want the one where he talks about stepping away, okay, and what his next plans are. And obviously, there's this is something that we don't want. We love the buddy comedy of Elon Musk and Little X, like running around and dancing with Trump. You can grab me that clip, like Little X, like prancing around, like dancing with Donald Trump out of Marine One, and having Elon Musk on our side is the greatest single coup de grace in political history. Elon Musk was a man of the left. He was an Obama supporter. Elon Musk is one of the smartest, brightest minds on earth. He is the richest man on earth. To have him in your political corner is incredibly powerful. To keep him there is also going to be very hard, right? Because everybody would want the richest man on earth to be on their side politically. Anyway, I think the left has burned that bridge and burned quite a few Teslas along the way. Here's Elon Musk.
Well, that said, I do think there's, the large slug of work necessary to get the DOGE team in place and working in the government to get the financial house in order is mostly done. And I think starting probably in next month, May, my time allocation to DOGE will drop significantly. I'll have to continue doing it for, I think, probably the remainder of the president's term, just to make sure that the waste and fraud that we stop does not come roaring back.
Yes.
Which we'll do if it has the chance. So I think I'll continue to spend, a day or two per week on government matters for as long as the president would like me to do so, and as long as it is useful. But starting next month, I'll be allocating far more of my time to Tesla, and now that the major work of establishing the Department of Government Efficiency is done.
Got it. The response to this has been excellent from the stock market. Obviously, Tesla shares skyrocketed on this news. You want to have daddy home, right? And Tesla's a massive, massive mover in the American markets. It's a very good thing. Everybody wants the markets to be rocking and ripping. And so, it is it is what it is when Elon's going to come back and focus on Tesla. Now, the Tesla's out here. Elon's out here promising that there is going to be some major dynamic shifts inside of Tesla. Delivery of the Optimus robots. the Optimus robots and the driving of FSD and so on and so forth. So anyway, the point is that the days of the buddy comedy, sadly for us, with Elon Musk in the White House, may be limited. Do we have the footage of this? No, you don't have to do this is too cute. Just do the other one. There you go. This is there, little X. There you go. It's wholesome. Come on. I'll be sad when this isn't ubiquitous at the White House, right? What did Elon Musk find in all of this? What has Elon Musk uncovered? Well, let's begin by some of the just major takeaways. There's been billions in fraud that has been uncovered and stopped. Some of that fraud is that there are 15 million people that are over the age of 120 years old marked alive in the Social Security system. And this is one of the DOGE. This is one of the DOGE heads. So this is what I think is very important here. Elon Musk has recruited. It's not like DOGE stops. Elon Musk has recruited very smart, competent individuals and business leaders to oversee these things, given their professional capacity. Here is do we have an ID on this? Is this the Airbnb co-founder? Okay, Steve Davis. All right. So he's recruited Elon, as only Elon Musk could, very competent people to oversee these facets of the federal government. Here's the fraud that was found inside of Social Security.
Or the Social Security system are enormous. As an example, there are over 15 million people that are over the age of 120 that are marked as alive in the Social Security system.
And that's an accurate figure.
Yeah, correct.
15 million.
Correct. This has been something that's been identified as a problem. Again, pre-existing problems since 2008, at least, from an IG report. So there were some great people working at the Social Security Administration that found this, 2008, and nothing was done. And so 15 to 20 million Social Security numbers that were clearly fraudulent were floating around that can be used only for bad intentions. There'd be no way to use those for good intentions. And so one of the things the DOGE team is doing is carefully and very methodically looking at those and making sure that any fraudulent ones are eliminated.
There are like people who are 300 years old on Social Security. Also, in order to get these documents, you have to go down deep into a cave in Pennsylvania for some reason and get them by hand. Now we have the footage of this happening. In fact, there's a cave. Oh, you got to give me that photo. The ding dong bimbo on a bicycle. There's a cave in Pennsylvania where feds drive around, where woke white liberal women drive around, like ride around on tricycles, getting boxes, little physical boxes in cardboard boxes to manage retirement assets for the federal government. This is what happens. This is how your federal government runs. It's a literal clown car, like an actual circus of monkeys would run more efficiently and effectively. This is a real photo of an actual cave in Pennsylvania where woke feds ride tricycles and get physical boxes out to manage the retirements inside of the federal government. My gosh, it's so excruciating. Okay, here we go. Do we have assets on this? This is what DOGE is. This is DOGE. Airbnb co-founder Joe Gebba is trying to shut down the tricycle cave for woke feds. Let's go.
To Anthony and Elon probably back in February, and they told me something about a mine that was dealt with retirement, and they said they needed somebody to help out to fix retirement in the government. I love the challenge, so I jumped on board, and it turns out there is actually a mine in Pennsylvania that houses every paper document for the retirement process in the government. Now picture this. This giant cave has 22,000 filing cabinets, stacked 10 high to house 400 million pieces of paper. It's a process that started in the 1950s and largely hasn't changed in the last 70 years. And so as we dug into it, we found retirement cases that had so much paper, they had to fit it on a shipping pallet. So the process takes many months, and we're going to make it just many days.
Will it be digitized or how?
Absolutely. So this will be an online digital process that will take just a few days at most. And I really think, it's an injustice to civil servants who are subjected to these processes that are older than the age of half the people watching your show tonight. So we really believe that the government can have an Apple Store-like experience, beautifully designed, great user experience, modern systems.
Look at this. Look at this tweet, the Doge tweet. Can you pop that up? Look at this Doge tweet. Look at this. This is the mountain. This is the mine where all the feds live. An underground troll mine with feds on bicycles. I think that what they could do here is they could actually turn this into the RFK fat camp. If you did it correctly and elegantly, and you were really smart about it, and you were very smart about the messaging. Can you please get the diagram, the professional diagram that we had built for the RFK Fat Camp? Danny, I know you have it. Included it in production yesterday. We had a very professional. We had an engineer go and design actually what could be built for the RFK Fat. RFK banned all poisons and toxins in our food. Yesterday, you could potentially turn the mine into the fat camp. Just a thought. I'm free ball. Just kind of, maybe we could do it. Danny, come on, gotta get it. Let's go. So it's just a thought. Just for there you go. Thank you. We had an engineer put this together. We hired some architects, and they were able to come up with this. What you could do, right? In order you could put this inside the mine. Pond for drinking water, stairmasters, wall for human-sized openings to leave the camp. That's what you could do. Now go back to the mine. You could put all this inside the mountain, right? And then you could ride a tricycle out of it when you graduate from the RFK. It's just a thought, all right? It's just we have our best minds on it. Okay. One final, the most nefarious thing that I've seen come out of DOGE, except for the mysterious thing that keeps being teased, is 1.2 million new non-citizens on Social Security. What the F is that? Well, that's them putting millions of criminal aliens into the Social Security system. And what do you need to vote? Oh, a Social Security number. So this was the Biden administration just straight up rigging our election. Let's go.
What this is when you come in the country, if you're illegal, there's a couple ways to come in. You come in through a port of entry, and you can tell them you're afraid, and they'll give you an asylum case. You'll get an interview, then you get in. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to just go to the border. Literally, this happened. I talked to Border Patrol myself. Elon was there too. I went to Laredo, and I went to Bronzeville. Elon went to Eagle Pass. You walk up to a Border Patrol officer, and you tell them you want to come in. They have a couple of choices. They could charge you with a misdemeanor or a felony under 1325, or they can make it an administrative offense, like a parking ticket, basically. They were told to do that, make it an administrative offense under the last administration. And then you go walk across the border. They do what's called a release your own recognizance, and they give you an NTA, a notice to appear, which to appear to judge. The wait times on judges are like average 6 years. Look at Grok, you'll see it on immigration judges. There's only 700 of them. This is 5.5 million people, okay? So what happens then? Once you're in the country and you've got asylum through one of these pathways, and we map the whole thing out, you can apply for a work document. You file a 765, it's the work form. You get this form called the 766, that's the authorization, and then Social Security Administration automatically sends you in the mail your Social Security number. No interview, no ID.
This is worth just reiterating. It's not people sometimes think that under the Biden administration that he was simply asleep at the switch. He wasn't asleep, no. They weren't asleep at the switch. It was a massive, large-scale program to import as many illegals as possible, ultimately to change the entire voting map of the United States and disenfranchise the American people and make it a permanent.
Find the lie. So this is what I hope that they go out with a bang. I hope that Elon scales back with a big bang. There is apparently a DOGE finding that is so horrible that President Trump must announce it himself. That will lead to mass resignations. Elon Musk has been teasing this out, that he has uncovered like actual criminal fraud. All of it's criminal fraud, and it should all be prosecuted, but he has uncovered something really dark. Here's President Trump teasing that.
And into the United States. Sir, do you have a sense of how long Elon Musk's mission will last and when he will depart?
Well, Elon is fantastic, and I think it's, he's a patriot, and I think it's a shame what they're doing with his car company. And a great car. It's a great car, great product. And it tells you what a patriot he is. He's amazing. No, I mean, as long as he'd like, I like smart people, and he's a smart person. I also like him personally. When he endorsed me, that's when I really got to know him. I knew him a little bit before that, but not much, and then he endorsed me. And it was a very strong, embracing endorsement, as we all know. And I would say Elon will stay for a certain period of time, and then he's going to want to get back to his businesses full time. But he's done a fantastic job. We found hundreds of, think of it, just hundreds of, we found millions of dollars of fraud and abuse and waste. And they're still going, I mean, they're going strong. They found something today that's horrible. It's horrible. So what they found, well, you'll find out.
You'll find out, says Trump. And then when Carolyn Levitt was asked about the horrible finding of DOGE, she said, I got to wait for the president to make that announcement. Donald Trump holding his cards very close to the chest here. Elon Musk, as soon as Trump said that, quote tweeted Chuck Schumer and says, Chuck Schumer, you're barking a little too loud, doggy. What you barking so loud for? It seems like you're in on the fraud. What has been threaded out there consistently, if you pay attention to these things, and is what we do, we're professional attention payers here. What's been threaded out pretty consistently is that there's some type of large-scale fraud that has been uncovered that directly ties back to the politicians who are funding all of it and voting for these funding measures. So something that has been feted out on this program is that some of these large government buildings, some of the large staffing inside of the buildings, directly goes to benefit the individuals who are voting for the continuation of the spending with federal government. So you have these massive empty government properties that are owned by, let's say, Chuck Schumer through this holding company, and he's getting paid by the feds, and all of the value of the building gets bundled up inside of a fraudulent payment directly to Chuck Schumer via the federal government. So here's Elon Musk saying, Chuck, it's starting to seem like you are getting a piece of the action with government fraud. But no, that couldn't possibly be the reason, could it? Uh-oh. All right. Scandals bound, ladies and gentlemen. We want to make sure that when we have situations like this, we speak to the experts on corruption within the federal government. Of course, the one person who we would call in that situation is the great Julie Kelly, who joins the show live now. Julie, welcome back. How are you this morning?
Good. Now, Benny, I don't want you to call me sweetheart today, okay? Because
you get that
we'll get a harsher reaction than what we got from the lovely Martha McCallum and Randy Weingarten. That was quite a moment.
I would never do that, okay? Like, that's just not in my vernacular.
Yes.
But also, what the hell is wrong with these people? I'm Team Martha on that. Grab the clip, guys.
For sure.
If we could grab it. I'm Team Martha on that, yeah?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Because she's like, it's like diminutive. She's like talking down to her and trying to like flex on her.
Yep.
Okay, good. Maybe Randy Weingarten can start a new podcast with Shannon Sharp. You know, you could use could be really special. Disney will buy it for sure. Like it'd be really special, both of them. Okay. Here's what it's a short clip. Here's what Julie's talking about.
Have
actually
very, very difficult.
Martha, sweetheart, listen to me.
Please don't call me sweetheart. It
actually does. I'm sorry. My bad. It actually does matter.
What the hell's wrong with these people? I don't know. Okay. All right. So something that is actually a sweetheart deal is a criminal alien who is going to get out of prison after slaughtering a couple of Americans. Bill Maloogian broke it this morning, and he's going to get out after 3 years. essentially like good behavior and earning points, from the federal system. From the state system in California, and get rewarded for killing Americans. My question to you, Julie, is Pam Bondi's out saying we're going to make sure that this person pays. How does that operation work? How easy is it for the feds to come over top in a case like this? We talked about the George Floyd case, how they did this, and to say, no, even if a state F's this up, or if a state is particularly woke or loose on charging, sentencing, or imprisonment, that the feds can come in over the top in this murder case with the criminal alien where they clearly have jurisdiction and can really make this person pay.
I mean, we'll see what Pam Bondi has to do in this situation. It's just outrageous. And, it just goes in line with why Donald Trump was elected. A big reason, obviously, to keep our country safe from these illegal criminals, to close up the border, to deport people, illegals, especially the 8 to 10 million who entered under the Biden regime. And we'll talk about the Venezuelan illegal issue in a moment. But how can anyone possibly justify this? So great reporting again by Bill Mulligan. And this just adds to Americans' frustration and outrage about the coddling of these illegal criminals and the protection that they are now getting from politicians, from political organizations, from federal judges, including justices on the U.S. Supreme Court. This is just adds to the insult and injury that American families, and of course this one just tragically, but so many American families who are losing their children to these illegals, who then get support, who get help, and now astoundingly getting released from prison, basically a slap on the hand.
But you're saying that and we saw the Biden DOJ, of course, do this in many circumstances. You're saying that the feds can come in, should and must, I would argue, come in over the top and make this person's life hell, right? Like the feds can come in and properly charge this case.
I'm not really sure. I have to believe whatever the DOJ is saying right now, that they've looked into this and that they have some grounds for pursuing federal charges against this criminal, against this monster. So, but I don't really know what that looks like. So I'm sure we will find out shortly what the DOJ and Trump administration has in store.
Okay. But, and final question on this is, this person is being treated better than any J6er. This criminal alien murderer, double vehicular homicide, while intoxicated and stoned at 100 miles an hour, is being treated better than any January 6th peaceful protester and anybody in the Fednapping of Gretchen Whitmer.
Right. Well, think about this, Benny. 2 of the victims of the Whitmer Fednapping hoax are in supermax prisons, where we have the worst of the worst, including actual foreign terrorists. At these supermax prisons, these 2 men convicted after a second trial, completely set up and entrapped by the FBI, are in supermax prisons for between one, I believe, for 18 years, one for 22 years. There's no one coming to their rescue. And yet this monster gets away with just a few years in prison. So this, again, also speaks to the double standard of justice that we have in this country. And to your point, the J6ers, where was the ACLU standing up for J6ers who were being politically persecuted for their views, for exercising their First Amendment rights on January 6, 2021? Where was the ACLU filing all of these lawsuits that we're seeing in jurisdictions all the way from New York to Washington, now to Colorado, down to Texas, to defend suspected members of a foreign terror organization, Tren de Aragua? Where was the ACLU? I can tell you where they were. They were nowhere. I reached out to the ACLU a few times in the early stages asking if anyone was coming to the defense of J6ers, and I got absolutely no response. But here they are sending out armies of attorneys coaching these illegals what to say, so they are not removed. And then now, of course, with the full endorsement of most federal judges, including the Supreme Court.
It really is a judicial coup, and you've uncovered something that you posted about yesterday. An order filed last night, Judge James Hendricks, the judge in Texas presiding over the latest Alien Enemies Act, prompted unprecedented intervention by SCOTUS. accused ACLU attorney of violating federal code of conduct rules by calling his chambers after Hendricks had denied his first emergency temporary restraining order. You go on to say that this is probably what was employed against Judge Boasberg. This was a tactic that was employed that led to all of the quick action and hasty action in the dark of night in Washington, D.C. Now, what exactly is happening here, Julie?
So this is the judge in northern Texas, Judge James Hendricks, Jimi Hendrix, a Trump appointee. And this is the case of two illegal Venezuelans in that jurisdiction. The ACLU filed similarly what we've seen in other jurisdictions, including Washington, which is an emergency temporary restraining order prohibiting the removal of these illegal Venezuelan men under the Alien Enemies Act, which has to do with removing these illegals who are tied to TDA. So this lead attorney, Lee Gellert, I believe Gellert is how you pronounce his name. He is the lead attorney on all of these lawsuits, including in Washington. So what Judge James Hendricks said, and I noted this on the docket when I first started reporting on this case, that he did note on the docket that ex parte communications from the parties are not allowed. It violates federal code of conduct for attorneys. But what he did is accuse this ACLU lawyer of misconduct, saying that he reached out to the judge directly, left this voicemail desperately trying to get this temporary restraining order that the judge was planning to deny, and then turn this into a class action suit like we've saw in Washington, D.C. and then in Colorado yesterday. So the question is, Benny, is this how Judge Boasberg was alerted to this lawsuit filed, the first lawsuit filed by the ACLU at 1 a.m. on March 15th, landed somehow on Judge, what he said, he was notified at 7:30 in the morning on March 15th, a Saturday. How did that happen? Boasberg very vague about that. But as I also posted yesterday, he has said in court transcripts, and he has said in one of his opinions, these vague references to being in communication with the ACLU. Now, apparently that is outside of the docket. As you know, everyone's filing motions and responses, and the judge is setting hearings, and he's asking for certain briefs to be filed and deadlines. But communicating directly or having this ACLU attorney reach out to him directly, I think that that's something I would love to see Congress, don't know where they are in these judges, don't know where they have been, seek any correspondence between Judge Boasberg and the same ACLU attorney on the wee morning of March 15th, as then Judge Boasberg issued in very quick order 2 temporary restraining orders banning the removal of these Alien Enemy Act subjects.
It does seem to be a strategy that is being deployed en masse and at scale. This seems to be planned. This was something that President Trump ran on. They had a pretty high certitude, I believe, that Trump was going to win. All of the actual real data from Kamala's campaign showed it. And so it looks like they were deploying and building this strategy, much like they built out Russiagate in term 1. This is the new Russiagate. This is the new strategic deployment to stop President Trump and the will of the American people. Do you agree with that contention?
Oh, absolutely. And Benny, let's put the Alien Enemies Act proclamation, give it some framework here. According to immigration data, at least 500,000 Venezuelans illegally entered this country between 2021 and 2024. Most of those were young men from Venezuela. In fact, in 2023, according to Custom and Border Protection Services, they encountered 340,000 Venezuelans illegally coming into this country. That made it Venezuela second only to Mexico in terms of the number of illegals coming from that country. It was an unprecedented surge. Now, why is this dangerous? The Maduro regime is an enemy of the United States. The Maduro regime has close ties, newly reestablished ties with Iran. The Maduro regime, as the president said in his Alien Enemies Act proclamation, backs Tren de Aragua, which is a dangerous, deadly, multinational crime enterprise that has been designated a foreign terror organization by the president and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So the president is trying to take the small swath of TDA members, TDA that is establishing footholds in dozens of cities and suburbs around this country, terrorizing, murdering, drug trafficking, human trafficking. So the president initiated this Alien Enemies Act proclamation to summarily remove this, maybe hundreds, I think, that the government has identified so far, but I'm sure there are far more, and remove them under this act that is clearly under the purview of the president. What the ACLU is doing, to your point, Benny, is going around the country, filing these lawsuits, seeking not just the deportation of Alien Enemies Act subjects that they allegedly have identified, but turning this into a class-wide lawsuit in all of these jurisdictions. And that is, again, what happened in this Colorado case. We could talk a little bit more. I was posting about that as well, where now these judges, Benny, and I have a piece of Declassified with Julie Kelly on this, these judges have all acknowledged the limited, if not non-existent, role of the judiciary in reviewing the president use of the Alien Enemies Act. But here they are, including the Supreme Court, again, unprecedented moves by these judges to interfere what is clearly presidential turf, foreign policy, immigration policy, diplomacy, etc., and now interfering in this in a very dangerous, reckless way.
I think it can't be stated strongly enough, and then let's jump right into your piece, that the constitutional crisis is being created not by President Trump executing his lawful Article 2 powers, but by the courts interfering and stopping the president from using those powers. Is this a correct contention, Julie?
Yes, it absolutely is. And I actually quote everyone from Jeb Bossberg to the Supreme Court to Judge Hendricks in this Northern Texas case, who concede the judiciary's very limited role in even overseeing the execution of what he has determined, this TDA, that they are alien enemies, that they are tied to regime, that this Maduro regime, that it has constituted an invasion, a predatory incursion into our country. Benny, how can you look at the statistics? How can you look at real-time things that are happening on the ground? I know that the Department of Justice announced charges with several, I think more than 24 TDA members just this week. How can any judge refute or dispute the fact that this has been an incursion and an invasion by a hostile nation, sending millions of these, or at least 500,000, mostly men, into our country? Yet you have a Colorado judge, Charlotte Sweeney, yesterday. She's been a judge for less than 3 years. She has no experience in immigration, really no experience in the government. She's a DEI hire, LGBTQ judge, Biden appointee, who not only set requirements for the Trump administration in terms of notifying these Alien Enemies Act subjects, but also questioning and refuting the president's definition of this as an invasion and predatory incursion. Who the hell do these judges think that they are? No one elected Charlotte Sweeney. No one elected Jeb Bossberg. No one elected any of these judges, and certainly the Supreme Court justices, who are not just sabotaging Trump's top domestic and really foreign policy agenda, but thwarting and sabotaging the will of the American people, who in large part elected Donald Trump for two reasons: to fix the economy and to fix our broken immigration system.
I need you to unpack two quick things for me. The 7-2 decision in the Supreme Court saying that Trump can no longer use the Alien Enemies Act. How is that even remotely standing? And I thought we had a conservative court. I thought we had a Clarence Thomas court. So I can understand Ketanji Brown Jackson, right, with her helmet level low IQ, like saying that, but like you had a number of conservative, like Gorsuch sided with him. What is going on? What happened there, Julie?
So what happened was, within a matter of a few days, and this happened over last weekend, so holiday weekend, of course, for most Americans. And as this ACLU, as it continues to do, quickly file these lawsuits demanding a decision by these judges, filing emergency temporary restraining order motions demanding that these judges act quickly. The judge actually did, again, James Hendricks, act very quickly, but he denied their motion to turn this into a class-wide injunction, which the judges have been doing all over the place. They quickly, then the ACLU went to the appellate court above Judge Hendricks. The appellate court upheld Judge Hendricks, said, you basically gave the judge 42 minutes to decide before you filed an appeal before our court. And then they went up to the Supreme Court asking for relief, which the Supreme Court did at about 1 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, April 19th. And what they did in this case is prohibit what they called the putative class, because the class action designation hadn't even been made. It had been denied by the judge, but he was still setting hearings. He was still setting deadlines for responses. So he was advancing this as quickly as he could. Wasn't good enough, went to the Supreme Court, and that's where they got the relief, 7-2, for now, at least, prohibiting the deportation of these Alien Enemies Act subjects in northern Texas. So I really encourage everyone to read Samuel Alito's dissent. He goes through many bullet points as to why the Supreme Court overstepped their boundaries, the sort of precedent that now this is setting. He was only joined by Clarence Thomas, but his dissent really is important. Now you have the ACLU and the Trump administration has responded to the Supreme Court, but they have not said anything since the Saturday morning ruling.
Taking this to its logical conclusion, if you were to discover the September 11th hijackers were here and were doing flight training, and you say, these guys have ties to terrorist organizations, they're here for nefarious purposes, we're going to send them home, the president couldn't do that. The president could easily be blocked by any judge in the country to say the 9/11 hijackers, they're going to stay. We're just going to make sure that they get through airport security. Am I reading this out correctly? Am I reading like China attacks America and like the president is immediately enjoined in his military response to this? Like there is no more presidential power then, right?
Right. I mean, that is exactly what these judges are establishing. And again, some of them have questioned that. And that is what James Hendricks did the other day. And he really cautioned and said, look, this is an area where the courts have really never interceded. This is a political branch decision, meeting, of course, the president, and then authorization by Congress on these issues. And he very strongly said, this is really not a road that we want to go down, which is why he did deny that classified designation for all the AEA subjects in his jurisdiction. So he has really said the strongest, but the Supreme Court has admitted limited, as they called it, limited judicial review of the enactment of the Alien Enemies Act. So, but now that the Supreme Court stepped in, we got what we saw yesterday by Judge Charlotte Sweeney, ordering the Trump administration to give these subjects a 21-day notice, letting them know that they are entitled to representation, giving the notice to them in the language that they speak, because of course none of them speak English, and setting up an entirely new due process rights for these illegals who are suspected terrorists who are here to do Americans harm and threaten the security of this country. Truly shame on all of the judges who have put their imprimatur on this, especially the 7 U.S. Supreme Court justices who did that over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like this turn of phrase, but Gorsuch is from he's from Colorado. He was a Colorado judge, and so with Tren de Aragua and what they're doing in Colorado, I mean, we've all seen the articles. Like, this is literal blood on his hands. I just can't believe that he would make this ruling, and then Colorado being the first place to say we're going to protect these people. Very quickly, if one president can import millions of voters for his party, and then the next president can't deport them, you're like less than a generation from losing the entire republic, right?
Well, here's what I think is just another disturbing angle of all of this, is that the court's setting up where they have to have individualized trials for all of the 8 to 10 million who have recently crossed the border. That is what they're setting up. If you cannot take even this small chunk of illegals who pose probably the greatest threat to American citizens and families. If you can't take this chunk and say, yeah, this makes sense. Okay, you have 500,000 Venezuelans illegally enter the country under the Biden regime. Most of them are young men. We could see that their ties to TDA. They're bragging about it. We have data that shows footholds in cities and suburbs across the country. We see the crime statistics. We hear the horror stories. We know that this is happening. So we're not going to pretend that these people, these illegals, potential criminals, are entitled to the same due process rights, or to your point, better due process rights than we saw for American citizens in the January 6th persecution. So yes, if you can't just watch it, we see millions of them crossing the border under the Biden regime with no relief whatsoever. If we can't summarily take big chunks of these illegals, deport, put them back in their countries. You want to come here, you do it the right way. But this was the wrong way to do it. And now setting up these special privileges for illegals. I mean, this is extremely dangerous and disheartening to see the courts doing this.
Hang your head in a bag, John Roberts, again and again and again. Perhaps like the worst Supreme Court pick in our lifetime?
Oh, I don't know. In our lifetime, let's see. I mean, I think the women on there are pretty bad, but you mean from our side? It's pretty hard to think of somebody who could have overseen this court and really betrayed the people who put him or supported him, or his beliefs that he stated, John Roberts, and to see him really play politics with this court at a time when we need strong leadership, defense of the Constitution, defense of the liberties and safety of the American people. And I just don't understand what he's doing.
Yeah. Rarely ever on, he's like a 90-10 kind of judge. He's like rarely ever on the right side. And he has to be pulled over by the entire rest of the conservatives on the bench.
I do think, Benny, I will say, I think that there's part of John Roberts right now who, because he authored the immunity decision last year that protected not just President Trump, but any president from criminal prosecution for acts in office. I think because of that, and because he was so criticized by Democrats and the left and the media for that, saying that he was coddling Donald Trump, maybe to some degree, even though it was the right decision, of course, you have to protect presidents from criminal prosecution by their successors on made-up crimes like we saw in the 2 indictments against Donald Trump. So maybe he is now trying to demonstrate hit space between him and Donald Trump. Okay, well, I authored that decision, but I'm also going to hold his feet to the fire. I'm not going to let him get away with whatever he wants to do in office. I don't know his thinking. That's only something that we could speculate on at this point.
Well, it sounds like playing politics, and it's certainly not what a judge should do. But Julie, we always thank you so much for your clarity on these issues. They're disheartening, but I think that with the proper reporting, which you can get from Julie Kelly's Substack here, Declassified with Julie Kelly, also following Julie Kelly on X, you will know what's actually going on, and we will be able to fight this information warfare correctly. Julie Kelly has nearly 1 million, so we're just going to round up. It's tax season, right? So we're just going to round up to 1 million followers on X. Everybody go follow Julie Kelly, a voice and a light for truth. Godspeed, Julie.
Thank you, Benny.
A voice and light for truth, ladies and gentlemen. Truth is something that you should certainly have when you are using your cellular device. The truth that you are using a company that believes in your values, that backs the Constitution. The First Amendment is very important when you're talking and texting, but also the Second Amendment, which keeps the First Amendment as a backup. You should also be sure that you are supporting a company that is a Christian, conservative wireless provider, and there's only one in this country. That is Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile has been backing us and been the bedrock of this program for the better part of the last 4 years. They have allowed us to grow speedily and have connected us when we are on the road and connected many of our guests who are on the road. We'll be joined very soon by Steve Hilton, who I hear is on the road. So maybe using a Patriot Mobile device, maybe not. Either way, I know as a matter of fact that they are a company that has your back. You should join Patriot Mobile today. PatriotMobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT. Right now, use promo code Benny for a free month of service when you sign up. Switch to Patriot Mobile and defend freedom with every call or text that you make. PatriotMobile.com/Benny, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. So many interesting little pieces of news and nuggets in the news right now. Why not make it a family matter with Avita Duffy, the host of Bongino Reports, Early Edition, and also the daughter of our great transportation secretary. Let's rock and roll. Avita, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Good. Thanks for having me. It's so great to be on here for the first time.
So, okay, listen, I've got to talk about a epic moment that happened this past week where a bunch of dingbat feminists. Okay, I want to start by saying the idea was right for Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos, he took a bunch of insufferable feminists, girl bosses, journalists, and activists and blasted them into space. And the problem was they came back. And so then what happened was your father destroyed them by saying, you're not astronauts. The whole idea was like this whole feminist girl boss thing. And it turns out they weren't astronauts. And that was a delightful thing to see. So wanted to begin with that because I'm just was really happy about that.
Listen, I'm so proud of my dad for clarifying this, because you can't just say you're an astronaut. You just get to say you're an astronaut. The FAA actually decides what qualifies as an astronaut. The Department of Transportation oversees the FAA, which is why my dad weighed in on this. You have Gayle King going on television and Katy Perry, and they're declaring themselves astronauts. And I'm sorry, you sit there looking like sexy girl bosses in blue pantsuits and go up to space and come back down. That doesn't mean that you're an astronaut. It doesn't. And the reaction to this has been so wonderful, I think, Benny, because everybody is now realizing that just because you do something and you're a female doesn't mean that it's an amazing thing. You can't just do things and be a female and suddenly everybody's going to applaud for you. Really, this was very privileged. It was kind of a silly little stunt. Nobody cared that much, and nobody's going to call them astronauts just because they went up there and, again, they're female.
I think that it's this clip in particular, Katy Perry kissing the ground. It's so insufferable because even the astronauts who were stuck in space for 9 months, who actually went into orbit, who were actually delivered to space, technically these women didn't actually go to space.
Yes,
and
true.
they certainly are not astronauts. But the real astronauts who were stuck up there and may have perished up there were it not for Elon Musk, who got zero credit for this. They didn't behave in this manner. I mean, they didn't come back to Earth and do this. It was hard to watch.
No, and it's so interesting because you had these real astronauts who went up there, grueling experience, right? I mean, you can just see the before and after photos of especially the woman who was there. I mean, the physical toll that it takes on your body to be up in space, to be in that environment for that long is drastic and so serious. The Biden admin kept them up there for political reasons. They didn't want to credit Elon Musk, a Trump supporter, with actually bringing them back down to Earth. Those are people who should be kissing the ground as they come back to Earth. And you have Katy Perry kissing the ground. And you also have videos of her saying she's studying string theory and all the math stuff. And it was so silly. It was so ridiculous. And I think my dad was right to say, let's clarify here. What actually is an astronaut? Katy Perry is not one. She doesn't even know what string theory is.
Okay, so they are surviving on a string or something. The final thing I want to ask about this clip that has gone thermonuclear viral, the little space pod there, and the door opening up from the inside. And then the minder running over to it, don't open it, don't open it, don't open it. Everybody's saying that the space flight is fake. I think the more appropriate reaction here would be that Jeff Bezos wanted all the glory. So he gets some fake little tool and then acts like the door didn't already open. Your take on this? The whole thing seems just utterly fraudulent.
Oh, it was all contrived. I mean, the entire thing was so contrived, Benny. And I think there are things to applaud, right? When it comes to human exploration, the great frontier. I think space really is the next frontier. And seeing science and technology expand and grow and people making advances in those fields is a beautiful thing to watch. This was not a great leap for mankind. This was not one of those moments. This was very contrived. This was a bunch of rich ladies going up in a little craft and expecting everybody to applaud for them simply because they're female, and no one wanted to do it, not even the left. And in fact, they got a lot of criticism because they wasted more carbon than most people emit in their entire lifetimes. And meanwhile, these are, again, the same people who are lecturing the world about emissions and the environment and climate change. So it all fell on deaf ears, I think, for all of America, no matter what side of the political aisle you're on.
I mean, it does give perfect credence to the "this was all fake" when they're running up and doing it like they're doing it like it's a Hollywood production. Like, don't open the door right now. It's not in the script, right? You have to have the bald guy who paid for all of this, who looks like Dr. Evil, come over and open the door with his fake little door tool thingy, right? It's all looks like a prop, feels like a prop. It's all fake. So we're proud of your family for shutting all of this down. Shutting down fake reports. Pete Hegseth, I know that you are you and your family are very close with the Hegseths, and there seems to be quite a bit of fake news out there about Pete and his standing with the administration. I want to give you an opportunity to sort of set the record straight here. I know the administration has come through very, very firmly to back up Pete Hegseth. Why are they attacking him so much?
Yeah, well, so let me just start by saying that everybody listening should know the Hegseths are at my wedding. I've babysat all of them and all of my siblings at the same time up north at our cabin in Wisconsin. So that would be like 12 kids under 12, which is a lot for water. And so with water around. So it was a big undertaking, and I love those kids. I think they're a great family. What this is about, Benny, is endless wars and DEI. The entire smear campaign against Pete Hegseth is a nothing burger. The argument is that Pete Hegseth's leadership is just a disaster. The Pentagon is in this chaotic meltdown because a few bureaucrats got fired and his wife sat in on a meeting where no classified information was shared. It is all smoke. It's no fire. And like I said, I'm going to start with DEI because a 2015 Marine Corps study found that all male units outperformed mixed sex units in 69% of ground combat tasks. Female participants suffered injury rates more than double those of men. And despite the data, the Pentagon prioritized equity over combat effectiveness. And Pete Hegseth has come in and he's saying enough of that. Enough. We're not going to compromise standards in special forces, in direct ground combat units for DEI quotas or political pressuring. And the military cannot stand this. They cannot stand it. This is what they've been doing for a long time. And he's prioritizing mission readiness over these social experiments. The other thing that I'll say, Benny, is that you have a pushback from a neocon uniparty establishment against Pete Hegseth as well. So last week we had Trump say, we're not going to allow Israel to strike Iran nuclear facilities. J.D. Vance and Tulsi and Pete were credited with counseling the president in this situation. And now we have the Wall Street Journal coming out just a couple days ago saying that Pete's Pentagon is a mess. And they're saying if Pete Hegseth was wise, he would shake up his staff and bring in more establishment types instead of the isolationists. That's the quote they use, promoting isolationists. So we have attacks on Pete from all sides, from the left with DEI, and also wanting to distract from the terrible news week that Democrats have had recently. And you also have the establishment coming in and saying we need to bring in more neocons who are promoting endless wars. So he's got a lot of heat on him. He's a good man. He's doing a good job. It is all smoke, no fire.
They scream and rage the loudest about the most effective people. If you don't judge a man by his enemies, man, you're going to be a bad judge of character. Pete has all the right enemies and all the right friends. And we just want to thank you, Avita, for being on the program. I think we have a photo here, your cover image. These all your siblings? Is this like, is this everyone that you were watching in Wisconsin?
Yes. Yeah, well, so those are all my siblings. Yeah, and then
plus the Hegseths.
Pete has 7 kids. Yeah, so there was a lot of children at the cabin.
Avita, thank you so much for being on the program. Everybody go check out her new show at the Bongino Report Early Edition. It's rocking and rolling, and we hope you're back very soon.
Thanks so much for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, my producers tell me that a spectacular man and somebody who is done something very big over the last 24 hours, a friend of the show, and a personal friend, is joining us via Elon Musk Starlink, which is interesting because this is sort of the vibe of the program here is Elon Musk being one of the most valuable members of the Trump administration and also of just American culture, Pax Americana. And so we're very proud that joining us now via Starlink technology is the great Steve Hilton, who just announced that he's running to be the governor of California. Let's go. Steve, welcome back. Welcome back to the program. All right, we're driving here. You look great, man. Okay.
I know. So look, let's just swing around. I got to show you the Starlink. There it is. Come on, let's have a look. It's right there in the front of the car. That's it. This is how we're doing it. Thank you, Elon.
You're driving down the 405 right now. You're campaigning. We have this footage of your announcement yesterday. It was massive. I've never seen anything like it in California. Good for you, man.
It was fantastic. We had thousands of people in Huntington Beach. And Huntington Beach is very special. For those who don't know, the reason I wanted to launch there, because Huntington Beach captures the spirit of the fight back that we need in California. 4 years ago, Huntington Beach City Council was run by Democrats 6-1. In 2022, a friend of mine, who's now the co-chair of my campaign, Tony Strickland, put together a slate of candidates. They took control 4-3. They immediately started doing common sense, conservative things, removing homeless encampments, prosecuting crime, getting the nonsense out of the school libraries, all of that stuff. Then in November last year, they ran a slate of 7 candidates. They called themselves the Magnificent Seven, and they all won, right? 7. So you've gone from 6-1 Democrat to 7-0 Republican in Orange County, California, in the space of 4 years. And here's the best bit. Just last week, Huntington Beach, now run by Republicans, was rated the best run city in California. It's a perfect story.
Wow. And you're there with Chef Gruel as well?
Yes, he's amazing. He was our MC.
That's great.
And Charlie Kirk endorsed me and gave a great video. He wanted to be there, but he was in Texas yesterday. It was, John Voight. How about that? We had John Voight, Hollywood legend. It was a really great day.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, Steve, so why don't we begin? What will you be doing for the Golden State to make it golden again?
So here we are. Can I just say, it really is a campaign. I want to show you. We've got stuff, right? Golden again.
There you go.
Steve Hilton for governor. We got caps. We got the whole lot here. Look, how about that? So it's real. This is definitely happening. Here's the thing. We need common sense, just like the president is arguing. It's not ideological. Everything is a disaster in California because of this far left ideological nonsense. We have the highest taxes, the highest rate of poverty. These people that lecture us all the time about social justice and equity, the highest rate of poverty in the country, the highest housing costs, everything is a disaster. Highest cost for gas, electricity, water, you name it. So what we've got to do is cut taxes, cut the bloated bureaucracy in Sacramento. It's even worse than the swamp in Washington, D.C. We've had 15 years of one-party Democrat rule. So my question to everyone in California is, imagine what it would be like with another 15 years. We have to change direction. Otherwise, California is just going to keep going down this path towards stagnation and decline. Here's what I said yesterday. It really reminds me when I was growing up in England, before Mrs. Thatcher was elected in 1979. The UK was very similar, and it was called the sick man of Europe. And that's really the best description, sadly, of California today, the sick man of America. We're the worst on every measure that matters. But just like Mrs. Thatcher turned things around in England, we can do that here in California. That's what I mean by making this beautiful state golden again.
It's beautiful, and perhaps you could make a little news here on the program by announcing what you would do as governor if they were trying to release a criminal alien from the California penal system who had slaughtered 2 Californians and Americans and letting them burn alive as he was drunk driving, also on drugs, also illegally in the country, twice removed. Would you be letting this man free?
It is so disgusting. Here's the analogy that works, I think. Right now, you've got sewage from Mexico coming into California in San Diego, closing our beaches. We got to turn that back, and we got to send back the human sewage like that guy.
This is a decision that's being made clearly by the court systems and the penal system in California. How would you reform this? And obviously, the only way to deter somebody from not killing an American is to make the penalties so severe that you don't want to kill people. Am I correct there?
Well, there's a number of things. First of all, there's a general point that in California, we have to enforce the law. The Democrats are just fantastic at passing endless laws, but they don't want to enforce them. Secondly, you've got all these state bureaucracies like the parole board that are getting involved in these decisions, that are overruling in often local DAs who want to be tougher. I mean, we just saw a horrendous case last week where the brutal murder of a 2-year-old kid was let out early by the California State Parole Board. Those people are appointed by the governor. And I would pick those people out and put people in who want to enforce the law and, exactly as you say, send a message of deterrence so that if you do these appalling things, you're going to get punished to the fullest extent of the law. We got to send that message out. It's the exact opposite message being sent by the system right now in California.
So every single time that I visit California, and I was born in California, I'm a native of Los Angeles, didn't live there long, but this is where my birth certificate is. My parents left because they saw that it going downhill. And then every time I'm back for a work event or for a shoot somewhere, I just am astonished at the homelessness. And we've done videos on this and reports on this, but it's the park paradigm where if there's a city park that is intended for family flourishing and human flourishing, the city park is either for the children or for the homeless. They can't coexist. You can't have a man holding a bloody syringe, pissed all over himself, wobbling around, and mothers who are going to allow the children to play in that same area. It's going to be for one or the other. And so your state makes a choice. Is the state going to be for the homeless, druggy degenerates, or is it going to be for families and children? It can't be for both. It can't be. And so how are you going to fix that problem that seems to be so prescient throughout the state?
100%. Goes back to what we were just saying. Number one, enforce the law, right? It's illegal to be living and camping on the streets. And so if local authorities aren't going to do that, the governor can take action. Why? Because just as we saw in the pandemic, the emergency powers of the governor used for a terrible purpose, shutting down businesses, schools, churches. The emergency powers, I've got legal advice on this, you study it very specifically. It talks about the peril and health and safety, threats to that aren't being dealt with by individual authorities and require a state response. So you can do that as governor. Secondly, we have to acknowledge that a huge proportion of the problem in California is caused by the fact that the people living on the streets have either mental health problems or drug or alcohol addiction problems or both. Right now, there's a law, it's called Housing First. It was passed in 2016, a state law that literally makes it illegal for any organization dealing with homelessness that receives state money to require treatment, sobriety, or anything in exchange for housing. It's totally insane. We're the only state in the nation that's passed such a law. That needs to be overturned. And again, if the legislature won't do it, one way or another, I would get it done.
I'm constantly in astonishment because I live in Florida, Steve, and it's also a state that is sunny most of the year round. It would be very easy for there to be massive homeless encampments here, but yet there's none. There are no homeless. I'm not saying there's none. There's no visible encampments. There's no. If there is some bum, he's like gone in 5 minutes, right? Because the police enforce the laws here, and it makes it very easy to raise a family. It makes it very easy to have children. I mean, easier than it would be if it was filled with criminals.
I mean, none of this is complicated, right? This is not like some massively complex policy problem that we need to figure out. Enforce. Can I say something a little bit English here? Maybe I can get away. Enforce the bloody law. It's very straightforward. And so that's what we got to get back to, the ridiculous ideological contortions these people go through here in California. It's not compassionate. We got to let people how is it compassionate to allow people to live in those conditions and to inflict those, as you say, on the vast majority of decent, regular people just trying to live their lives and raise their families? None of that is compassionate. We would never let someone we love live in those conditions, in those homeless encampments. So why does the government allow it for people who aren't their family members? We should treat people with respect and dignity. That means getting the streets and into the treatment that they need.
Yeah. We were in Oakland last year and got robbed within like 5 minutes of starting filming. It was like,
right.
This is California culture, right? Like they've got a brand. It's nice to see you taking a stern stance on this. Obviously, this is something that you don't want to have as a rep for your state. That there's nothing but homeless degeneracy and crime everywhere. It went downhill very, very quickly. And you mentioned the unified government. You mentioned that it's been a single party super state.
Yes.
And so it would be really nice to see that reformed and to see that changed. What about the way that the state does business? It seems like Gavin Newsom is constantly running massive deficits.
Yes.
And has built, to his credit, like about 17 feet of rail line, high-speed rail. So
honestly, I mean, I could be here all day on it. I just wrote a book, which we talked called Caliphalia, Reversing the Ruin of America's Worst Run State. That what you just talked about is a classic example. So first of all, on the running the government, in California, they've literally doubled the state budget in the last 10 years. Even taking account of inflation, it's up by 50%. So is everything twice as good? No, everything's worse. The money is going into government bloat. Good example. The empty reservoir lady that became famous during the Los Angeles fires, she's paid $750,000 a year. And you multiply that right across the state, all these bureaucrats, all these officials running everything into the ground, but being paid a fortune. And so the first step, actually, that the governor can do this, because you control the executive branch, is to cut back on the bloated bureaucracy, all the spending that goes with it. Then you can start cutting taxes, which will help us with the real objective, the other point you made in terms of the business climate. That's why so many businesses are leaving. And people are leaving because it's impossible to live here, run a business, build a home, do anything. You've got to turn all of this around. But as I say, it's actually not complicated. It's very straightforward, common sense policies. We've got to win the election, though. And I would say we've got the best shot of actually winning in California for at least 20 years. One, because people are so fed up with what's going on. It's really crushing people and they know that they need a change. Two, because you're seeing this movement across the country as part of the Trump revolution, where working class voters are switching from Democrat to Republican. In California, the real part of that story that matters is the Latino vote. And that is a real opportunity to make the case for change and to get rid of this Democrat nonsense that's just wrecking everybody's lives. That's how we make California golden again. It's a really, really exciting moment. I want everyone to get involved, whether you're in California or not. You should care about this. SteveHiltonforGovernor.com. I need your help. I need everyone to volunteer if you're in California. I really believe that we can pull this off. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's not impossible. And that's why we should go for it.
Steve, one final question for you, and this is my favorite. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be able to ask this. If you get a chance to be on a debate stage with Kamala Harris, which you will, there's a very solid opportunity that you will be facing off with Kamala. Now, here in this clip, she's clearly drunk, and you could see the wine bottle just out of frame. But who knows? She might bring her A game when she debates you. So what is going to be your strategy in debating Kamala?
To tell the truth and focus on real policy issues. She has no clue. Here's the amazing thing about Kamala Harris. So for months now, she's been teasing this idea that she may run for governor, and her aides have been briefing the press. Every single story about her potential run for governor, it's not about us. It's not about all the things we've been talking about, the homelessness, the business climate, the bloated, none of that, right? It's always about her, right? It's, well, she may want to run for governor because she doesn't want the last thing of her public life to be certifying Donald Trump's election victory. Or, is the quote, she's intrigued. That was the quote. She's intrigued by the idea of being the nation's first Black female governor. You think, what are you talking about? Here's the way I put it yesterday. Running California, as far as I'm concerned, the greatest state and the greatest nation on earth, is not some consolation prize for a failed and rejected machine politician from Washington who can barely string a coherent sentence together and thinks that she's entitled to this job because of her identity rather than her ability. She has no clue about policy. She's completely hopeless on details of how you actually make change happen in government. And so I cannot wait. Please do it, Kamala. Let's have that debate. I cannot wait to beat you again.
Just a bit of unsolicited advice in closing here. and it's just off the top of the dome here, Steve, but an idea. Kamala Harris lied about working at McDonald's. There's no proof she ever did this. She was working at a Canadian McDonald's. Nobody respects poutine. You could really, and Trump already did this number, right? And it did it as good as anybody ever will. But you could one up. You could really raise the stakes by working at In-N-Out.
In-N-Out. I knew you were going to say it. I love it. I really love it. I totally agree. I was actually talking to the person who owns and runs In-N-Out. Fantastic company, always standing up for the truth, just as we were talking about earlier. It's a big, big favorite of mine and everyone here in California. What a brilliant idea. I'm going to take it.
Just you and RFK, man. You and RFK working at In-N-Out, making the fries from the potatoes. Dude, I see it. It's a winner. Everybody needs, Steve Hilton is a winner. And Steve Hilton, it's an honor to have you on the program. It's an honor to endorse you. And to endorse you and to have you as somebody who's really out for change. And we were blown away by the reception you got yesterday. It's really inspiring.
Thank you.
Everybody follow Steve Hilton. And here's his campaign for governor. Steve Hilton URL, please.
SteveHiltonforGovernor.com.
SteveHiltonforGovernor.com. Thank you, Steve. Godspeed. Save the
All right.
state.
See you soon. Thank you, man.
Okay, come on. That was a rowdy slate of guests. Steve Hilton, that's going to be really exciting. That'll be fun. Never say never, right? On this kind of stuff. Never say never. It's only because of fraud that they can continue to win in California. It's not because actual Democrats show up. It's because you've seen the videos. The giant mail-in ballots, like guys filling the garbage, guys in very strange security outfits filling the garbage bags with mail-in ballots days after the election. You've seen how it works, but we're getting smart. We're getting wise to their fraudulent tactics. Ladies and gentlemen, get wise and get in the chat. Let's go in the chat. Okay, here we go. Rock and roll. They love Charlie. Good morning, Betty and family. How many of you think we're heading towards a civil war? What state are you taking your family to? I don't think we're heading towards a civil war right now. I would recommend Florida. Got to tell you, for a number of different reasons, but I would recommend Florida. What state are you taking your family to, though, in the Civil War? I don't know. There's a lot of people saying Appalachia. Yeah, you can hear the people who remember the old ways up in the hills, right? Like the old moonshiner country. What would be the most popular? Yeah, throw that one up. That's perfect. That's perfect, Clint. What would be the most popular state if everything just really did, if everything went down, right? If it all went down. We're not gonna be like Tim Pool here. Civil War, Civil War, Civil War. Don't wear a beanie. But it's worth noting. I mean, look at this. This is the county by county breakdown. And these are the congressional district, for correction, this is the congressional district breakdown across the country. Where are you heading? Where are you heading? I like it where we are. There's a solid state that has some major rights for property, rights for firearms, really patriotic and let's just say muscular population here that would be ready and willing to fight back. But yeah, where are you going? Okay, just a question. Here we go. All right, here we go again. Farganon, I asked your wife, Nurse Kate, if you snore, and she hasn't confirmed it yet. Do you sleepwalk? I got a subtune. All right. Let's end this, Farganon. Let's end it. I confirmed with her this morning. Maybe I'll take a video. I confirmed with her this morning, I do not snore. If I have, this is the God's honest truth. If I have too much to drink, I snore. That's what she says. However, I don't think I've been drunk in years. I don't think I'd be what would be classified as drunk in years. Occasionally I have like a glass of wine. Like never on a work day or a work night. I want to be able to lock in. The way I think about this is like, what if something terrible happens? Like, meaning, what if we got to go live? So for real, like what? Not that that's terrible, but what if we're sitting there like you're drunk and then Joe Biden like What if something happens? Okay, that's what we have it. We had that the Joe Biden contingency, we called it. And boy, damn it, I'm glad we did this past election. Because lo and behold, on a random Sunday, Joe Biden's like, I'm out. And everybody at this team had to screech their car tires, whatever they were doing, and we were hot back into the studio in like 30 minutes, maybe less. We were back on air. So can you do that if you're blackout drunk? You can't do that if you're drunk. You also don't you just don't hit the same, right? Brain doesn't work the same. So let's end this conversation about snoring. That's the answer from the definitive source. Okay? That's one of the reasons why I don't drink anymore. Again, glass of wine on the weekends, here or there. Maybe. That's what you'll find me doing. Norwegian governor has gone crazy. Civic duty. What the fook am fuming here? Well, I don't. ALX, have we kept up on the Norwegian government? Do we know what's going on? I mean, I do know that. So this is from Jan Norbo, and I hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly. So, is there something that is? I mean, listen. It's one of the Scandinavian countries that are known for its socialism, also for some of their immigration policies that have utterly decimated and changed, made no-go zones in places like Stockholm. I'm very sorry about that. We're looking up Norwegian news right now just to see, but maybe it's just overall socialism. I know taxes are incredibly high. I know that woke policies in Scandinavian countries are quite bad to live under, right? So my apologies. You're welcome here at any time, Jan. Benny, can you salt Arizona Senator Yasmin Ansari? She went to El Salvador while we have people dying of fentanyl at our bus stops. Yeah, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Can we get her a photo of her, shall we? Okay. So here we go. This is Arizona Senator Yasmin Ansari. She is state. Okay, there we go. Yep, that's right. And ladies and gentlemen, we're doing this just for you, Pineapple Breeze. We've never done it before, but a special salt that lib just for you. Here we go. We're salting. Oops, wrong direction. It's reversed in the camera. There we go. We salted the lid. Can we do it? Do we take requests? Okay, we'll take requests. All right. I love your black t-shirt today, Benny. Well, I wear a black t-shirt every single day. It actually makes it very easy to edit. We were talking about this just the other day, because no matter what we shoot or where we're shooting it, there's total continuity because I'm always wearing the exact same thing. $5 t-shirt from Amazon. So there we go. Here's Marissa. Marissa says, why would Trump comment on a local teen tragedy because the kid's black and the other kid was white? Is it only bad because he's a black kid? No, of course not. And it's not something that we want to spiral out of control. The way you spiral this out of control in a situation like this, because it is charged, right? Just like the George Floyd incident, with George Floyd, this is a common problem. He was a career criminal who did way too much fentanyl, and he had a horrible accident. He died because of the sheer amount of stress, fentanyl, and drugs in his body. That's what happened with George Floyd. But it was able to spiral and get way out of control because people thought there was this perception that there was this major injustice, and it was ties all the way back to all racial injustice for all time. They were able to spin it out of control. I don't want this to spin out of control. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The crime is simple. You killed a kid. You should just be charged for killing the kid. That's it. You shouldn't get goodies for doing this. What's happening is now that this is going to spin out of control. You get a DEI judge. They already lowered his bond. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars in a GoFundMe with some of the most vicious and racist comments I've ever seen in my life. Just pure anti-white hatred. It has the potential to spin out of control. It'd be nice to have the feds come in and say, we've looked into this. We're going to charge this as a hate crime. Justice will be served. Everybody calm down. And to not let an apparatus that is, and who knows how much of this is actually real. What do I mean by that? There are forces, because America is such a diverse society. Diversity is not our strength, but it is what it is. It is what it is. The makeup of the country is what it is. There are people that want to take advantage of that and prey on that. They get power from creating racial strife, civil war, race riots. It's always been that. There's a dude right now who's live on MSNBC. His name's Al Sharpton. He's created he's created a fortune, an entire career out of stoking racial animus. It's been happening for all time in this country. It's been happening for all time. There are people who profit off of it. And they would love nothing more than for this to spiral out of control and to become some type of massive race riots, burning down cities. They get off on that. Who knows who's behind it? Like, who knows who's actually donating? Are the only people donating sock accounts that are run by the Communist Party of China in order to stoke racial division in this country? We know that happened during the BLM riots, that a lot of the biggest accounts, the sock accounts on X, were being run by the enemies of America, trying to create as much political division as possible. That's why I want it to be put down, right? This kid is a murderer. Put him in prison. Serve your sentence. I argued the death penalty for the same thing, deterrence. But whatever, right? Toss him in prison, throw away the key. Maybe you get out in 30 years on good behavior or something. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how the sentencing guidelines work. But what's been happening is you get privileges, just like what we talked about with the criminal alien. Carmelo Anthony is getting privileges, rewarded for doing this. That's a society upside down. That's why it'd be nice to have someone coming through. It'd be nice to have somebody coming through with a firm hand on this, right? To say no, the criminal will get criminal punishment. That's all we've ever asked for. Okay, keep up the good work, says Don. Thanks, Don Mills. And here we go. Tiffany S. says, we need to support Pam. I assume Pam Bondi. She's all we have, and divided we fall. Energetically, let's continue to support her and all of Trump's cabinet. These are very, very tough jobs. Trust me, like some of the clips that go viral about Kash Patel, Bongino, Pam, they come from our show. These are very, very tough jobs. And we're the people who asked Pam Bondi about Epstein first. She was in the job like days, and we asked her about Epstein, and that started a very interesting news cycle, let's just say. Pam is our neighbor down here. We know Pam personally. We have faith in Trump's cabinet. We have faith in Trump's selections. If you want to do this work right, you don't want to do it. Think about if you want to build a sturdy house, you have a piece of junk property. Let's try a metaphor here. You have a piece of garbage property called a teardown. You buy that property, it's yours, you own it. You could rip it down where half of the property still exists and then try and build something new on top of it, or you can do true demolition all the way down to the bedrock and then rebuild cautiously and carefully and make sure that you do it right so that the house will stand for the next 1,000 years. That is the metaphor that I'm going to use for what's happening right now. I know it's going to frustrate some people. I know people are going to be I have been frustrated as well, because I know that there's a lot of people who belong in prison, from everything from COVID to Epstein to Diddy to the feds who went after Trump. But I've heard from people that I know and people that I trust that work is being done. And so we'll do our best to hold their feet to the fire, to talk about to ask questions. I mean, why are we the only show that asked Kristi Noem about the assassinations of Trump? We did the same thing. Hey, what about the assassins who tried to start a civil war? This is our job. We listen to you. We listen to the chat, but we're not going to go out to create some type of unnecessary drama, right? just because our feelings got hurt or because we want to have a pee-pee poo-poo time, right? And feel sad about it because it's not happening at our, at the speed that we want it to happen. All right? We're going to hold the side up, right? And that's how you actually get something done. Anyway, that's the opinion of this show. What did they call it? Trust but verify. Trust but verify. Okay? You can start by putting Letitia James in prison. Thank you. Iron Mountain is not just for the federal government. Many companies in the Pittsburgh and surrounding area use it, says Wendy Charles. Totally. I still think that RFK Jr. could turn it into a fat camp. That's all I'm saying. We thank you, though, Wendy. We do know that Iron Mountain, I mean, listen, it's a cool facility. If used correctly, it's like a cool facility. What a neat way to redo. What a neat way to redo what I believe was an old mine. Was an old coal mine. Is that correct? What were they getting out of here? Coal? I'm not saying you should shut it all down. I'm saying that the federal government should digitize this stupid archaic process, open up all this space for another private sector company to use it. Dude, would we do our show out of the center of a mountain? That's a little Lex Luthor for us. Would we build a studio there? I don't know. You could build a pretty dope ass studio. Be freaking cool. Would we use a tricycle? Like feminist lib dork? No, we would not. Probably a golf cart though. You zip around in a golf cart. Cool, tricked out custom golf cart. Zip, zip. You hear the tires squeak. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Wendy. Iron Mountain is not owned by the government. It's private. And many companies use it for storage in legal cases, gun purchase documents for all Walmarts, says Christy. Man, a lot of I didn't know we had so many Iron Mountain stands in the audience. We understand this, and we appreciate it. And I never said that you should shut it all down. Don't shut, because I think this is a private company clearly that owns this mountain, right? It's a private storage facility. What I'm saying is that the government part of it has been proved to be totally inefficient and obscene. And the limiting factor for how many retirements the government can process is limited to how many of those stupid boxes they can fit on an elevator coming out of the mountain, which is an insane way to do things for the federal government that you and I pay for. The private companies can use this all they want. And in fact, if I was in the Pittsburgh area, well, what a cool place for a studio. I don't know. Maybe we'd use it. I'm just saying I don't want my federal tax dollars going there. I'm on SSDI. Your channel is so important to the future of the grandchildren. I love you from Kansas. Well, thank you, Pat Schenkel. We love you back. That one's for you, Pat. Here we go. S. Joe. We voted for this. We voted for Elon and for tariffs when we voted for Donald Trump. We voted to MAGA and are proud. That's correct. That is correct. We did vote for this. So I don't get the attacks here. We are literally getting what we voted for. It's the courts that are stopping it. Donald Trump isn't creating a constitutional crisis. It's the courts. All right, here we go. Lady Trucker. A lot of regular commenters here. Love to see you all. Martial law take place now. Impeach and remove the judges who continue to go against the president and Trump's agenda. Well, this is called suspending the writ of habeas corpus, right? This is what Lincoln did. Where Lincoln was just no, if you're a Confederate, I'm just gonna do what needs to be done to clean up this country. Suspending the writ of habeas corpus. Has it only been done once? I think so. I think it was just Lincoln, but I'd like to check on that. So this means what Lincoln did was he indefinitely detained various saboteurs or people who were working with the Confederacy. There's a lot of people who argue that was good and bad. There's a lot of people who argue that was, obviously totally and completely tyrannical. The past is prologue. Does Donald Trump have the right to just do this all over again? Could Donald Trump do this? Not sure. Okay. World War II habeas corpus was briefly suspended in Hawaii after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Obviously, FDR had famous detention camps for Japanese Americans. President Lincoln initially suspended the writ during the Civil War without congressional approval, citing the main to maintain public safety and suppress rebellion. Congress later passed that the Habeas Corpus Suspension Act of 1863 to formally authorize this action. Well, there you go. That's what's on the streets, man. That's what's on the streets. That's what people are saying. All right. Here we go. And let's do one more here, shall we? Please cover the recent Kashmir terror attacks in India. It was a pogrom. Non-state actors checked victims' IDs. Their privates asked them to recite Quran verses, singled out Hindu, and then executed 28 dead already. I think we did briefly touch on this in the show yesterday. But yes, we didn't cover it today because we just had a ton to get to. But we'll put it up right now. This is what happened in India. At least 28 tourists are killed by gunmen at a resort in Kashmir, Indian police say. It's awful. And is this a targeted? Are these killings targeted by radical extremism? I know this is a hotbed, obviously, area of the world where there are various Muslims and Hindu factions that are sadly constantly fighting. What would be horrible is for anything like this to spiral out of control. India and Pakistan do not have a friendly relationship. It'd be terrible for some awful Ukraine-Russia situation to be spawned out of this. India downgrades ties with Pakistan after attacks on Kashmir tourists. So it certainly does seem to be some type of secularitarian violence here. Anyway, we're happy to cover it. We don't want war. We want everybody to live peacefully and happily in their countries, right? So thank you for bringing this to our attention, though. From Tucson, last one here. The reason so many men from Venezuela is because they are a military gang under the second most powerful pope, and arguably the most powerful. His name is Arturo Marcelino Sosa, Venezuelan 31st Superior General. Well, Tucson, you know a lot more than I do on this. The most powerful pope, and arguably the most powerful. Well, I know they're going to be choosing a new pope. Here we go. Is this the individual? Okay, the Catholic priest. Okay. So this is the individual that's being spoken about, that's being talked about here in this super chat. And do we know anything else? So he's a Catholic. So he's a Catholic Jesuit priest. Okay. A lot of conversation about Jesuits in the Catholic Church right now, about wokeness and liberal ideology. The Jesuits are famously very pro-criminal immigration. The Catholic charities were funded to the tune of billions of dollars by the Biden regime in order to import as many people as possible into the country. And the late Pope was a massive fan. He was a Jesuit and a massive fan of forever permanent criminal immigration, destabilizing all of Western civilization. And it's why we have firm words for the Pope, although we do our best to be respectful and let people rest in peace. But that's something that we're horribly against. So is the idea that this is somebody who is working in order to inflow Venezuelans into the country? Because you realize, like, a lot of these people are penniless. There's no way they could actually get to America. It's like very hard to get to America. Mexico's a massive country. The border crossings are, getting from wherever you are to America is very difficult. A lot of this stuff had to be centrally planned and orchestrated, and the Catholic charities, to their great and forever shame, facilitated so much of it. And so, yeah, it's completely evil. Thank you, Tucson, for bringing our attention to this, and thank you all for your super chats. We will be doing far more of this. It's called In the Chat, and it is us just saying that we love the chat for the show. Our verse of the day, shall we? 2 Timothy 2:2. Flee the evil desires of youth and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord out of the pure heart. That's right. It's funny. You talk about we talk about drinking. That's just how much time did I spend in a bar? How much of my life did I waste drinking and doing nothing and just trying to escape my current condition instead of like getting into condition, like hitting the gym, reading my Bible, like getting out of the thing instead of trying to escape them by like numbing my brain with booze, like getting into and locked into the scriptures, fitness, and like getting up and out of that situation, like just like ending that situation that I was in instead of trying to mask it. Yeah. Righteousness, faith, love, and peace. Get rid of your evil, youthful desires. Pursue faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord in a pure heart. Peace, very important. There's a lot of rumors about a peace deal with Ukraine and Russia. It didn't get a chance to cover it. It's all just rumors and speculation at this point. We have seen no official documents, but hopefully we'll be able to cover that in the upcoming shows, ladies and gentlemen, along with some other big guests that we have that we'll be announcing, I think hopefully today. We hope that you lock in. We thank you for marching with us onto victory. It's your boy Penny. See ya.
You're cool.
Yeah.
And you, I'm out.
Hey, 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 yo, no, 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 no. I'll tell you the tale of such a thick fog. Spoke a voice that boomed from above, from above. Go back, tell the others you sail in false waters. The Gulf of America is upon us. Yea, be marooned till you say why. The Gulf of America is upon us. The voice became clear as the Cubans appear. They just wanted to be the 51st state this year. The great Gulf of America is upon us. And guess what? Before Canada could take a side, the Mexicans appeared. And so we replied, guess what, everything will be okay. Guess what day it is? It's hump day. Get it on, hump day. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings. And their dying legacy, media deal reads. Soon will the penny show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Feed the gold and bring the gun. We sail for number one. Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for number one. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.